It's time for Taking Care of Business on Midlands 103. With thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Taking Care of Business. I'm Ronan Berry, this is Midlands 103, and coming up over the next hour, how is AI reshaping the insurance industry and what does it mean for the skills employers need? Aidan Flynn from Insurance Skillnet will join me to talk about digital transformation, workforce development and how the sector is preparing for the future. Also, your voice could help shape Budget 2027. I'll be talking to Jackie Carroll, CEO of Laois Chamber Alliance, about their pre-budget business survey, the biggest challenges facing local employers and why its upcoming Future of Work Demystifying AI event could help your business prepare for what's coming next. And later on too, we'll hear from Gareth Fleming, CEO of Offaly headquartered Allpro People Group. They've just announced a major acquisition and also given details on ambitious plans to create 30 additional roles over the next 3 years. If you want to join this evening's conversation, you'll get me here in studio by text or WhatsApp on 083 3010 103, or if you wish you can drop me an email, business@midlands103.com. I won't pick that up here in studio this evening, but I can certainly have a look at whatever you'd like to send me in a little bit later on. Before that though, I'm going to go across and look at Portarlington. I'm sure many of you listening will remember what would have been known as Avon Arlington Limited, a major factory that existed in Portarlington. It opened in 1974 and at its peak employed 1,200 people. Now, imagine if we had a business with those level of employees come into the region. The amount of celebrating we would do would be not seen for quite a while. But it goes to show you the scale of some of the employers that used to operate around the region. It closed, by the time it closed in 1999, it was down to about 350 or 400 people, which was still a major shock to the Portarlington and wider area at the time. Decided to lay vacant for around 25 years before being acquired by Laois County Council in 2004. And this is where the story pretty much kicks off again, because Portarlington has taken another major step in its economic development with the official opening of the new Canal Road Business Park. Developed by the County Council on the former Avon Cosmetics site, the business park provides 4 fully serviced enterprise sites designed to attract investment, support indigenous businesses and create jobs in one of the country's best connected locations. Joining me now to talk about this major plan is Simon Walton, Director of Services with Laois County Council. Good evening, Simon.
Good evening, Ronan.
Simon, this announcement, it's not just about another business park opening. It really is a statement of intent for Portarlington and for County Laois as a place to do business.
Oh, well, absolutely. And as you mentioned there, Portarlington is a very significant growth town in County Laois. There's been significant population increase over recent years. There's excellent amenities. It's hugely well connected by public transport networks. There's multiple trains to and from Dublin. It's within an hour of Dublin City, and it has far greater affordability than Dublin and other prominent urban centres in the region. So it's an ideal place for people to live and to do business. And obviously, as you mentioned there, we did purchase 6 acres of the former Avon site in 2024, and we've undertaken a recent development of those lands to support enterprises who will create employment in the locality.
Was that always your objective, to use it as a way of supporting enterprise?
Well, I suppose it has been a long-standing objective of the council to support employment growth and development of amenities and to consolidate the town centre in Portarlington. And it would be appropriate that we do that as the council, having regards to the growth of the town and the ambitions for the town. So I suppose the site in question is zoned for enterprise and employment purposes, and obviously a portion of the site, 6 acres, became available in 2024, and the council purchased the lands for, well, it was €500,000 at the time, plus about €60,000 in taxes. So the site acquisition cost was €560,000.
Which will represent, I'd imagine, a bargain in the long term. What sort of infrastructure was provided then with these sites?
Yeah, well, I suppose one of the things that enterprises see particular value in now is fully serviced sites. So what the council has done here is we have developed the roads and the footpaths, etc., and the public lighting that will service this development. And obviously, those elements of the development will remain vested in the council. So the council will be responsible for the ongoing maintenance, etc., of the road network. But in addition to that, and this is where it holds particular value for a lot of enterprises, would be, underground. Then we have all the public water, the public wastewater, the gas, telecoms, and broadband. All of those are provided by the council in consultation with the local utility providers. And what that means essentially for the enterprises is that effectively, once they purchase a site and secure their planning on the site, in terms of connecting to the services, it's essentially plug in at your gate and all the services are there. And that, we believe, is what holds, there's a good attraction to that for enterprises. And we've seen similar with Junction 17 National Enterprise Park in Portlaoise, where that is one of the principal things that enterprises will cite, the attractiveness of having a fully serviced site. And that's the beauty of the sites in Portarlington also.
And that attractiveness has been borne out because there's been quite solid interest in them already.
Yes, we're elected members of Laois County Council who have been wholly supportive of this development, and indeed Councillor Mullins at the official opening mentioned to me, it's great to see, I know there's no development yet other than the development undertaken by the council, but we're confident that that will lead on to local job creation. And he made reference to the previous use of the site, as you alluded to earlier, whereby, there was a lot of mortgages paid for through the employment created on that site by Avon in previous years. And obviously the hope is now that will be replicated, maybe not to the peak numbers of Avon, but certainly replicated in some respect over the years to come. But we are sale agrees, and the members have approved each of the sales in this respect to McWay Construction, who have bought two of the sites, Fletcher Electrical, who will be known locally, they've purchased a site there, and Priority Construction, a very prominent construction firm in the state, have purchased a site also. So obviously they'll be going through planning processes as the coming months, and we're very hopeful that we'll see other development on those sites over the course of the coming years, and obviously the creation of local employment, which is the overall purpose of the objective.
That's a fantastic achievement to have the four of them at sale agreed already. I think we should point out as well, Just Transition Fund played a role in this too, because again, many people are aware of what Just Transition funding is. This is another example of it in action.
Yes, and absolutely. And I suppose the Regional Enterprise Plan, which Laois County Council would be a signatory, it's sort of espoused for for developments like this to be undertaken by local authorities. We were committed to this development one way or the other when we purchased the site. We hadn't sight of the Just Transition Fund at that stage, but we then made an application to the Just Transition Fund to Pobble. I want to thank them for their cooperation, and as you've said, yes, we secured €1 million or just under €1 million in grant supports to underpin the development costs or part of the development costs that the council incurred in terms of servicing all of the sites as I described earlier.
Super. No, it's a wonderful project, and I think congratulations and well done to everybody involved getting to this stage. And it sounds like already it won't be long before it's fully operational, and who knows what's next on the cards for you. Simon, a pleasure as always. Thank you for coming on with me this evening.
Thanks very much, Ronan.
Well, that's Simon Walton there, Director of Services with Laois County Council. It goes to show you what can be done when the council can acquire a land, put that infrastructure in like Simon spoke about there, and already there's sale agreed on 4 of those sites. But you can see already a lot of the hurdles and challenges when it comes to getting planning and connecting to services already done, already taken care of. Also helped by Just Transition funding backed by the council, and lo and behold we have 6 acres ready for action there very, very soon. So well done to all involved. Great story. and great to hear so that happening around the Midlands. We're going to stick with Laois after the break because the Laois Chamber Alliance is looking for your input as a business into their pre-budget submission. That's coming up, of course, in just October, so stick with me and we'll talk to Jackie Carroll in just a couple of moments.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
I sometimes think we should record the little conversations I have with my guests sometimes, just in those little ad breaks, you know, sometimes the nuggets that come out or the things we talk about. Well, my next guest, we've just spent about a minute talking about what it's like during the summer when you're trying to get your work done and you're trying to ferry kids here and there and everywhere with summer camps and different excursions, and you just nearly sometimes get a sense that you're doing all this work just to pay for their hobbies. But Jackie Carroll said, but isn't that the way it should be? And I think that is, I definitely agree and concur with that anyway. I think many of you listening will probably empathise and that idea of what your summer is like in work probably resonate with you. Anyway, Jackie is here this evening because she wants you to do something even more. If you are a business in County Laois and you want to have a say on what your business needs ahead of Budget 2027, Laois Chamber Alliance has just launched a survey. Jackie's here to tell us all about that. Good evening, Jackie.
Hi, Ronan. Yeah, I wish those conversations were part of it too, but I am here to talk about. We are trying to put together a pre-budget submission to the government ahead of Budget Day, and in it, we really want to capture what's actually going on for businesses at the moment, what is affecting them. We all know anecdotally, you know, energy costs, childcare, housing, infrastructure delivery, but when you do a survey you get a real taste of what's actually going on, and we can only do that if everyone does it, and it takes 4 minutes and we'd ask anyone to fill it out, and you don't have to be a member of the Chamber. We just want to get a sentiment of what's going on in Laois at the moment.
Is that because you're probably hearing on a day-to-day basis lots of the different issues, the different challenges that are facing businesses? So you're like, right, let's get this down on paper so we can make a really substantial submission.
Exactly. And it's a kind of, it's a little bit of a culmination of issues as well, in that Laois County Council have just finished a commuter survey, and I know Angela McFoy, the Director of Services, has been on talking about it. But what we want to do is we want the budget submission to reflect a Laois that isn't seen as a commuter belt, but that commuter peoples and the issues that brings. So we want Laois to be seen as its best location with great skills, with proper infrastructure and investment. And we're kind of trying to turn it around, that Laois is actually seen as a place to set up investment. And the way to do that is to put the budget submission in and, you know, put our case forward as to why we need investment in starting new businesses in Laois, you know, and absolutely exploiting that location element and the skills we have here.
Actually, Angela was on me there about 2 weeks ago talking about the results of that commuter survey, also about the Invest Laois campaign. We've just had Simon Walton on there from Laois County Council talking about the Canal Road Business Park in Portarlington. So we can see what the council are doing, and now you want the Chamber to play its role as well. What are the issues that you are finding with your members or even just business people around the region that are just continuously at the top of the list as being some of the biggest challenges they're currently facing?
Yeah, we all know them. Number one, energy costs. The cost of doing business for a small SME has increased exponentially in Ireland due to the energy crisis and the costings that go with that. All, you know, things on the ground, housing. If we don't have houses, we can't have staff. We can't attract people to live and work in Laois. So housing is always number two, but from a staffing point of view. Also the cost of childcare. Now, we only launched the survey yesterday, but already, like, I'm beyond those years in my own personal life. My children are big and grown up, but the cost of childcare, like sorry now, I had it written down. There are 7,000 children under the age of 15 in childcare in Laois, you know, full time. That's a huge strain on a couple to be able to afford that. So the cost of childcare is something that I was surprised only because I haven't heard it in the Chamber, but in the survey it's coming back in the small amount of returns we have so far.
Yeah, it's really shown where the really acute problems and challenges are. As you say, we'd often hear it mentioned as being part of the overall picture where it presents challenges to businesses, and particularly there's business development, that you're getting that fed back already in the survey. It really speaks out to the challenge. And 7,000 children under the age of 15 in childcare in one county is quite staggering. Anything else that's thrown up? Because already, I say, it's shown that it's slightly different maybe than people might have initially expected.
Yeah, well, that was only my own, what I've learned in the chamber. Really, no, there isn't. Actually, skills that, even though we have magnificent resources in Laois through the LOETB, through the Laois, through Skillnet and Carroll and Kilkenny that we use, and through training programs that are run through Connect Laois, SMEs from the survey so far are saying they want training around AI, practical application of AI.
Yeah, and that's constantly
we're all hearing about it, aren't we?
We are, and actually I can see over the past maybe 6 months it has become a recurrent topic on the show. And again, just the next interview after yourself will be about AI in the insurance industry. And what's really jumping out is businesses, companies, industry bodies are seeing it as potentially a huge productivity tool, something that can help them in terms of competitiveness, and they do need to start getting a grasp of how to use it, how to leverage it. And there's a huge kind of skills gap there too, and it is going to percolate down eventually and probably quite shortly into third level education, into secondary level education, such as the impact it's having. There's no getting away from it, and undoubtedly that's going to pop up in this survey as well. I suppose the key thing is, you said this can be filled in by somebody who's a member or a non-member. How can they get access to the survey and take that 4 minutes to have their voice heard?
We'll put it up on the website, because I've just realised this second it has only been sent out by email to our database, and we'll put it up on our website, leaschamber.ie, and it's there. If you email me at Jackie@LaoisChamber, I'll send you out one if that's easier for you. One thing on the skills there, Chambers Ireland have asked that some of the National Training Fund be specifically taken away from the National Training Fund for SMEs. Now, I agree with that completely, but I think a tighter definition of what an SME needs to be put in place. I think it's up to 25 at the moment. But from our membership, I can see that there's a lot of micro businesses up to 10 people, and they need a whole different set of supports, or even 2 people, because you're the marketing person, you're the finance person, you're the sales person, and you're the doing person as well. So I think we need to call for supports at the different levels.
Absolutely. And that National Training Fund, I think it's around 1.2 or 1.3 billion euros sitting in it there waiting to be tapped in. And lots of industry bodies and the likes of Chambers Ireland are continuously calling for it to be unlocked and to do that. And I think that's a fair point as well. If you are somebody in that micro enterprise and you're doing everything, it's very difficult to find the time even to try and learn and embrace a tool that is ultimately meant to save you time, if it is AI or whatever it might be. So, because the future of work in AI, like we just kind of said, it's very hard to get away from it. You ran a really successful event there about the future of work recently. The brilliant Peter Cosgrove spoke at it. And there's a follow-up event coming up in September called The Future of Work, Demystifying AI. So you're going to answer all our queries and problems then.
Well, I hope we wanted it to be really practical. And the person, we're doing it with Regional Skills and the LOETB, and it's a very practical, no kind of frills workshop for a half day with networking. And somebody suggested we should call it Back to the Future, because it's part 2, and we intend on doing a part 3 and a part 4, because, skills are the only way we will improve, and we have so much resource available to us in Laois that I don't think people even know what courses are available. I'm blown away when I hear about all the stuff that's available.
That's it. There's a huge range of stuff, and it's finding the right ones. And I think for sometimes people to learn how many are actually funded, be it part funded or fully funded as well. Yeah. When is that event taking place? And again, how can people register an interest to go? Yeah.
Definitely, it's the 7th of September. It's from 9 o'clock till 1 o'clock. in the Midlands Park. There will be a panel discussion. There is a little bit on cybersecurity as well. It's the same format as the last Future of Work because it was so successful. We're doing it again, but just with different themes. And also, you can register for it on the Laois Chamber website.
Sound, as I was at the first one, brilliant event, really.
It was brilliant.
From talking about artificial intelligence and vision systems that can recognise salmon on a fish farm in Norway, but right down to the really practical implications and how it can be used in small business. There was a lot covered. It was certainly very thought-provoking, and looking forward to the follow-up one as well. Brilliant, Jackie. Thanks for coming on again.
Thanks
We'll talk to you
Ronan.
again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all. A pleasure. That's Jackie Carroll there, the CEO of Laois Chamber Alliance. And again, what better way to do it? Get the voice of the business owners. Really interesting to hear that childcare actually is coming up top of the list there now, and it's given the Chamber just one thing they can begin to look at and lobby, because speak to anybody in the early years sector, they will tell you they need support, they need lobbying. I spoke to Regina Bushell on the show about 3 weeks back. She said the very same thing, and she's directly involved in that sector. So get your voice onto that. Go to the Laois Chamber website, check out their socials, or if you go onto the website and just send Jackie an email there via the website or whatever way you want to do it, get your word in there and hopefully it can make a difference. Time for you to take a quick break. After that, we're going to stick on the topic of AI, but look at how the insurance industry is adapting to AI and ensuring that the people in that sector have the right skills to stay there, to develop their careers and deliver exactly what that sector needs.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Just to clarify, this show is not sponsored by a big AI company, or I'm not getting any payments or gifts, because I seem to be talking about AI in pretty much every section now. But believe you me, from my day job to what I'm doing on the show, it really is percolating down into all elements of business. And I don't think I've ever witnessed a technology or a work tool, or whatever way you want to position it, that has had such an immediate impact, and the great businesses are been using it for a while. The very good businesses are already embracing it. The ones who haven't even looked at it yet are the ones who may struggle, but I think everyone's eyes and thoughts are moving towards it as well. And over the show, over the last number of months, I think we've had many examples of how different industries, different sectors, different working groups are coming together and creating supports, just like Jackie Carroll from Laois Chamber Alliance spoke about there. Creating those supports for small business, for people in business, so that they can at least have the chance to embrace AI tools, see how they can be used in their business, and give all our local businesses a chance to excel and to stay competitive, because that's key to it all. Because it is changing the way we're doing business as well. From customer service to fraud detection, underwriting to administration, AI is also reshaping the insurance industry. But it's also raising an important question. Do businesses have the skills they need to make the most out of those new technologies in that sector? Insurance Skillnet is a new industry-led initiative designed to help businesses and employees develop those skills through subsidised training and professional development. The initiative is supported by Insurance Ireland, the representative body for Ireland's insurance sector, which represents the majority of insurers operating in the Irish market and works with government, regulators and industry to support a strong, innovative and competitive insurance sector. Joining me now is Aidan Flynn, Chair of Insurance Skillnet and Director of Advocacy and Public Affairs at Insurance Ireland. Good evening, Aidan, and welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Yeah, good evening, Ronan. Delighted to be on the show. Thank you.
Aidan, it's a pleasure. As I say, AI, the conversation, it's happening pretty much in every business sector. From your own perspective with Insurance Ireland, how dramatically is it actually changing the insurance sector at this point in time?
I think, Ronan, as you mentioned, it can seem a bit overwhelming because everybody's talking about it all the time. But I think from our perspective, it's really keeping it focused on the people and not forgetting about people, because AI is not just a leadership challenge. So look, there's no doubt about it. It's impacting. Technological transformation is transformative. The pace of change is incredibly fast. However, we do have to be cognizant that it's relatively new and untested in a lot of ways. And indeed, from a regulatory perspective, we see the European Commission, in terms of the AI and digital regulation, it's only being seep out to all the member states, and certainly the central bank, indeed, are going to be responsible for oversight of AI, and certainly from the financial services perspective, they're just really reaching out to the industry, gathering data, in 2026. The option is big, but as you mentioned, from an insurance perspective, it has a lot of positives. It can support faster analysis, better customer service, more efficient claims handling, and fraud detection, I think, is a game changer, which ultimately benefits consumers.
I think that's an interesting point, because we'd often look at things like AI and people are using them as a maybe productivity tool and looking how it can improve their processes. And if we go back 6 months or a year, people probably would have thought when it comes to things like trust or looking at, fraud detection, we wouldn't trust the AI just yet. But we can see with the Law Society, now with the insurance sector as well, that's not the case. Like, obviously something has proven that it is a really useful and viable and therefore essential tool for the sector.
Yeah, and I think from the Skillnet's perspective, and of course Insurance Ireland are the program managers for this and the chair of the consortium, we're really excited about it. It's a new initiative, but it is cross-industry initiative that has Brokers Ireland, the Society of Actuaries, the Compliance Institute, and indeed the training providers, the likes of the Insurance Institute, LIA, Instec, have been heavily involved in the establishment and development of it. And we were originally going to call it the Future of Insurance Skillnet, but we thought Insurance Skillnet was more understandable. But the whole purpose of it really was to focus on the skills and talent piece for the industry, because the education around AI and the understanding of how it can impact the organisation is massively important.
Absolutely, and not the education as well about how to use it, but also how to use it in a safe and secure way too. Is that something that will feature as part of the Skillnet as well? Because I'm sure lots of members are asking questions about data protection, who is a data processor if you're using one of these larger AI models?
Yeah, of course, because it's that the insurance industry is highly regulated. And consumer thing. So, I mean, you have to ensure that it is transparent. Again, that's stuff that the bank is looking at. And of course, the industry itself is well used to at this stage in terms of that transparency piece. But we do have to make sure that everything is in place. The education and upskilling of existing
Aidan, I don't know Aidan, I don't know if you're on the move or something, but the reception is dropping a little bit. If you know there's a spot where it's a little bit stronger, you might make your way towards it. We're just losing the bits of what you're actually saying to me there. But I think the key points are there as well around that whole thing. It's not just a case of finding a tool that works for somebody, it's finding the correct tools, the right tools, and bringing the people on with that skill set as well. What are your targets in terms of training, of courses, and maybe the numbers of people and the speed and scale at which you hope to achieve that at?
Well, look, the Insurance Skillnet is starting off. As I said, our first course are going to be running now. The Fundamentals of AI is the first course starting in September. We are a pilot, so we have a limited budget. And I suppose how, for the listeners there, how the Skillnet works is it's an industry-led learning network that's supported by Skillnet Ireland, and we can offer up to 25% of cost saving on eligible training courses, but we do have a limited budget, and our objective is to move from a pilot at the end of 2027 into a full-blown Skillnet for the industry. So, like every member-led initiative that's supported by the state, our members and companies in the industry have to use it or lose it. So our expectation is to grow quite quickly. We do have limited capacity this year, but as I said, we're going to be supporting training for around 400 individuals within the insurance sector across the whole ecosystem by the end of this year.
Right, so it's fairly fast moving and ready to go as well. Because is it fair to say sometimes we conflate terms like artificial intelligence with a whole lot of other terms like digital transformation, digital leadership? Like really, it's probably touching on many different aspects of a business, because really any business strategy now ultimately has to be a digital strategy.
I think that's a really important point, Ronan. It's across sectors. Like, the insurance industry is like the same as everybody else. We're at full employment in the industry. In the country, we have to attract young talent. We have to ensure that our existing talent is upskilled. And there's huge career opportunities and diversity of career opportunities within the insurance sector across health, life in general, international specialist reinsurance, So we just need to be ready, and I think that's the leadership piece that's needed by the industry, and that's what's going to differentiate organisations that thrive within this environment of constant changes, to invest in that education and really to put people first. I think that's the key message, and that's what the Insurance Skillnet is there to help support.
And if the Skillnet can subsidise some of the training through the National Training Fund, which Jackie Carroll just mentioned before you too, again, it's putting that fund to good use as well. Are there any kind of criteria or limitations on who can be part of the Skillnet? Like, is it open to small brokerages or even sole traders as well as the larger providers?
Absolutely, it's nationwide, as I mentioned. There's 43,000 people working in the insurance sector across that whole ecosystem of brokers and insurers and so on. And it's open to everybody. And whilst it has to be member-led, so as we grow, the programs that we're able to deliver will be driven by our membership. So there is no membership fee or anything else. So if you visit insuranceskillnet.ie, you will see the list of available programs, and we'll be adding to them now, as I mentioned, over the coming weeks and months. And then we just send an inquiry into ourselves, and we'll get in touch and book people on courses and keep people up to date of what courses are coming down the track as well.
The insurance sector in this country plays a significant role in terms of our economic development. It's probably a larger sector than many people would actually give it credit for. Where do we rank, even on your own sort of insight level, in terms of where we are in comparison to countries maybe across Europe, in the States? Are we at the forefront in terms of these developments and these skills, or are we playing catch up with other regions?
Well, look, I think one of the reasons we ended up looking at the Skillnet in the first instance was that we commissioned a talent roadmap report with Laois in 2024. It was following the expert skills analysis of the sector. There's a perception issue for the insurance industry, which we are trying to change. Some people might think it's quite traditional and not a lot of variation in type of roles. So we're trying to change that perception big time. And this is one way of doing it, because in fairness, as I mentioned, there's 43,000 people working on it, but we contribute around 3 billion to the exchequer every year. There's 110 billion of written premium. We're managing over 300 billion in assets. We're the fourth largest insurance market in the EU. We serve more than 20 million customers and the number one exporter of cross-border insurance services in the EU. So there's a lot going for the insurance industry in Ireland. It's massively important to the Irish economy. And with the Irish presidency here at the moment, we're really, I wouldn't say punching above our weight, because it's well established. We're looking to continue to grow.
Absolutely, and it's nice how at the start you mentioned the person still being central to it. The likes of these skill nets, those upskilling programs, they keep the person central there. And I like then how you kind of touched at the end there about the maybe the perceptions of an industry, because I think like so many industries, there's been a huge almost revolution and transformation in terms of technologies being deployed, and it's lovely to hear that insurance is up at that level as well. But ultimately, the human still plays the key role in all of this.
Exactly. Yeah, and we kind of lose sight of it, because when you hear all the narrative around AI and we're all listening to podcasts, the future seems a bit bleak. But I think we have to, number one, embrace change, utilise it, but don't use it to kind of replace the people. Use it to enhance the business.
Absolutely, and I think every client, every customer, and even every consumer would want and expect the same as well. But Aidan, thanks so much for coming on this evening and really showcasing what Insurance Skillnet is doing. People can log on, they can join up if needs be, and get that training and that skill set that they need. Thanks a million, Aidan. We'll talk to you again soon.
A pleasure, Ronan. Thank you.
No, that's Aidan Flynn there, Director of Advocacy and Public Affairs at Insurance Ireland and the Chair of Insurance Skillnet. And Aidan mentioned listening to your podcast. This show will be podcast on Midlands 103 tomorrow morning. Go on to midlands103.com, hit on the podcast section, and you'll see Taking Care of Business there too. But check out that Skillnet. If you're in the insurance industry or sector, if you're one of those 43,000 people employed in the sector, if you have a business in that sector, check it out. And like the National Training Fund that Jackie Carroll mentioned, here's a good use to it. Here's it being put to proper use, what it was designed for in the first place. Now, time for a quick break. And I'll absolutely disclaimer now, the next section will mention AI as well. But it's another positive news story for the Midlands with a company aiming to create 30 new roles over the next 3 years.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
30 new jobs are set to be created by a Midlands company. Allpro People Group, founded in Tullamore by David Gleeson, is acquiring EOS Talent, which specialises in recruitment and talent advisory services. It becomes the latest enterprise to join the group alongside Allpro Recruitment, Xylo Talent, Carter Finch, Accom Assist and HRconsultants.ie. The new roles are to be created across the wider force over time as services are scaled across Ireland and the Middle East. CEO Gareth Fleming has been speaking to Midlands 103's David Hollywood.
It's a big, exciting milestone for the Allpro People Group today with two major announcements. The 30 jobs that you've just referenced, they'll be based mainly across Ireland, but with some growth in the UAE. One of our subsidiary companies, Xylo, has a base over there. But predominantly based in the Midlands, and also then the acquisition of EOS Talent, which is one of the most respected specialist HR recruitment companies in the country. Two separate announcements, but all part of one big long-term strategy. And we think it's a really good business story for the Midlands.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the horizon and the landscape shortly, but I just wanted to, let's drill into the jobs for a second then. Have you got a timeline as to when and where, and specifically what kind of jobs are going to be popping up in terms of advertisements?
Yeah, so the roles will be created in phases over the next 3 years as demand grows across the group. They'll range from graduate and junior opportunities up to experienced recruiters, client directors, operational specialists, and some senior leadership appointments. Obviously, with the buzzword that is AI around at the moment and the impact that's going to have on many different businesses, we need to bring that in-house ourselves, and we want to really get ahead of the curve there. So we'll bring some AI expertise in as well to make sure that our growing workforce is AI literate. Okay,
good stuff. The recruitment sector is facing a number of kind of headwinds over the course of the next while. So it's interesting that you're kind of moving in the opposite direction that people would consider or might presume without looking at it in further detail, that you would actually consolidate or even contract. You're expanding. AI is a major influence on the recruitment sphere. How is hiring going at the moment?
Well, you know, there is a lot of bad news out there on the job market, and it's not helped by the awful layoffs that we see from the big tech pillar companies happening right now across the country. But the market is strong, it's resilient, it always is in Ireland. I think the market's right now much more selective than it was 2-3 years ago. I think during the post-pandemic period, we saw unprecedented demand for talent. A very, very broad talent. But today the market's normalised. That doesn't mean opportunities have disappeared. If you look across the sectors that we do a lot of work in, healthcare through to financial services and tech, those markets are growing in Ireland and across Europe right now. Talent is still very, very difficult to find in those markets. And when it comes to AI, I think a recent study from FRS showed that 2 to 3% of roles will be affected by AI. And I think it's important to say that will be the case. But AI can be a really positive thing for businesses. Those businesses that adopt AI and use that in compass with good people skills will be the businesses that win over the next few years.
Let's talk about the acquisition of EOS Talent. What about their operation did you identify as being something that you wanted to be part of the overall Allpro People Group?
So the Allpro People Group is made up of companies with deep specialties in various different areas, and EOS is no different. EOS gives us deep specialist expertise in HR recruitment. So HR managers, HR business partners, heads of HR. It's run by and founded by Emma Anglin. Emma is one of the strongest HR recruitment brands, or has built one of the strongest HR recruitment brands in Ireland. She's really well known in the HR community, not just as a recruiter, but as a very strong advisor. And today that matters more because clients today, they don't really need more CVs. They need market insights. they need data, they need intel, and Emma is very, very strong in that regards.
It's an interesting portfolio. Xylo Talent, Carter Finch, Acom Assist, HRconsultants.ie, and now AOS Talent. You mentioned that specialisation is kind of a objective, a focus, a target when it comes to acquisitions from your perspective. What's the X factor in the recruitment space, in the HR space, that that actually leads to success ultimately?
I think the recruitment market shifted a few years ago from a transactional sales market to a more advisory focused market. And what we're trying to do, along with my chairman, David Gleeson, a Tullamore native, his vision when he set up the first company within the group, Allpro Recruitment in Tullamore, was to build a group like this, an end-to-end human capital solutions group. So we can handle any issue that is seen along that talent spectrum, whether it's advisory, whether it's recruitment, or whether it's accommodation, which is a huge problem for companies trying to bring people in or move people around the country right now. So for us, the X factor is that we're able to handle any problem or issue that a client might face from a talent point of view through one of our now 6 companies.
And is this where the acquisitions end, or is that a kind of an open-ended dynamic that if you see a specific organisation that has all the hallmarks or meets the criteria of what you guys would evaluate as adding to positively to the overall group, you might consider making another move?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, this is only really the beginning. You know, we see more acquisitions along the way, but they have to fit in with our that specialist strategy. We would like to look at more companies in the Midlands. Again, we're really, really passionate about keeping our headquarters in the Midlands. We think it's a really good, again, a region to do business in. We see this. We run Founders Friday bi-monthly, which is a platform for successful founders of companies in the Midlands to come and tell the audience about the success and the problems and the issues they faced, and we've seen the same. But you know, a lot of these companies, there's a lot of really good companies growing in the Midlands, and if we can find them and they fit our portfolio, then we'll absolutely try to acquire them as well.
How long will the AI question linger over the recruitment sphere? We're kind of talking about, you know, finding that equilibrium where AI coexists in companies as opposed to companies feeling like they're trying to catch up and ultimately upskill their output to meet the potential of AI. Where do you think that question will eventually be put to bed, or is it something that we're looking at for the next couple of generations?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a question that's going to continually evolve, because we don't really know what's going to come around the corner when it comes to AI. But I think as a country, and I think the government has a part to play, we do need to begin to future-proof our workforce. One great example, we do a lot of work in the Middle East, and if we look at what the government has done there, AI now sits in the curriculum from 5-year-old kids upwards. Grants have also been introduced to companies to help upskill their staff in AI. So there's a lot we can do that right now we're not doing to future-proof the workforce. And again, the more AI literate everybody is, the less the question lingers.
Yeah. Put AI to the side then. A final question in terms of the recruitment spaces. What are the sort of major asks when you're dealing with companies? Where do they need the most help when it comes to recruitment? What are they ultimately looking for?
Well, right now, huge demand across HR, life sciences, engineering, technology, all areas of tech and financial services. Workforce solutions are a huge thing right now in Ireland. Again, Allpro Recruitment are specialists in that space across healthcare and construction and advisory. A lot of companies right now, whether it's a question around AI, whether it's a question around employment law, face difficult challenges, and trying to navigate them can be difficult. And again, that's where I like to think we come in.
That's Gareth Fleming, there, CEO of Allpro People Group, speaking to Midlands 103's David Hollywood earlier today about their plans to create up to 30 new roles over the next 3 years. And yet again, AI plays a prominent role. There is no getting away from it. But when you start embracing it and start seeing what it can do, it can absolutely enhance your business, protect your business, and keep it on the track it needs to be, and keep it up to speed with the competition as well. That's it from me for this evening, though. Thank you for tuning in as always and for your texts. Hope you've enjoyed this evening's show, found it useful, and there's some good takeaways from it. It will be available as a podcast on midlands103.com from around tomorrow morning, so you can listen back there and share it with your friends and colleagues if needs be. Time for me to go. I'll let Joe Cooney in. He's here after the news at 8 with Country Roads. I'll talk to you all next Tuesday.